Not Titles podcast is proud to be sponsored by Landtrust Title Services, your partners for results. Well, hello everyone. This is Steve Kaempf with the People Not Titles podcast, and I am so pleased to be here today with Miss Ania Pulit. And Ania is our executive account manager at Landtrust Title Services. And, you know, we just wanted to introduce her to our audience. She's a fantastic success story in every right. And so, Ania, thank you for being with us today and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Ania, let's talk just a little bit about how you began your career in title.
My career in title began from actually working at a real estate brokerage first.
Okay.
And then,
so you're a licensed real estate broker, so you have a lot of experience with that as well.
Yes. I've worked on a support end at a real estate brokerage. I've assisted a managing broker to help agents with their business, which meant helping with training, with marketing, everything that an agent needed from day one, from onboarding with the company and anything that was needed for their success. So after a while, I decided to also get a real estate license because I felt then I could help even more. And that was my initial stage of being within a real estate industry. And then as the time moved on and the company has grown, we've added a title company in-house. And so things just transitioned for me into title in a little unexpected way, so to say. But I'm actually very excited about it because when you actually take a real estate exam, you learn a lot of stuff that as a real estate agent you don't have to use, well, let's just say you don't use every day. But where you actually find all that is in title. So anything that happens when the property goes under contract up to a closing, this is applied now here. And so I feel that being able to combine the practical knowledge from the everyday life of a realtor to the back end of what happens after you already are handing the contract over to the team of other industry specialists, because you already are under contract and you have an attorney step in it, you have the lenders, you have inspectors, appraisers, you name it. This is the other side that you see it differently from a title perspective than you see it when you're on the brokerage side.
Yeah, excuse me. I think one of the things that you are able to do because you have this real estate experience, right? You're able to understand just how difficult it is to put together a real estate transaction, how precious that transaction is, right? And how valuable the clients are to the agent. And I think that shows in a lot of the work that you do.
I believe that this is very much about building relationships in what we do. And that also shows not just from the relationship of the real estate agent with the client, but the whole team that's on the back end stepping in to help the agent at the same time. Just because there are a lot of industry partners, like I mentioned earlier, that participate in a transaction, and building the team that will support you, that will not just be there to do the job, but also will be there to have your back, to be there at any time you need to answer a phone call and just have a conversation to guide you and be actually a friend within this whole process. I think that's invaluable. And finding the right people and matching the right working styles and personalities, I feel is a huge part of what we do, especially in real estate.
Okay. So tell me, now let's kind of shift to Landtrust, right? Because how long have you been with Landtrust?
2.5 years, almost.
Great. So, and what is your specific role here at Landtrust?
So, as an account executive account manager, okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My role is to build relationships with real estate attorneys who will, in turn, bring the contracts our way in order to help the process of the contract to come to a closing, right? So my role is to make sure that I can provide the right customer service and support, and also build trust and be there for my clients who are directly them, But at the same time, what I find is that this doesn't stop here. It's, again, mentioning the team earlier, I have to be there for everyone involved within a transaction in order for us to build a bigger picture, a better relationship, and build a lot more opportunities for the future. So I believe in my role, it is building relationships with industry partners who then in turn feel comfortable with what I can help them with, and at the same time we can all help one another.
Great. I know you have great clients. You have great attorney clients, and there's always room for more, right? But what would they say about you, Ania, in terms of what they really like about what you bring to the table for them? Just, in terms of, we understand that there's the transaction. We understand that, every closing is important. But above and beyond that, what would you say your attorney partners would say about you?
I think, I believe my approach about this is not about me. I'm more concerned about what's in it for them, and more of a care of how I can help them versus what I would like to see them do for me would probably be the answer.
That you're kind of putting others ahead of yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Just if I can help, then at the same time it will help all of us in the end. So it's not about, hey, give me a shot. It's more about how can I help you and how can we make things better for the whole process.
Great. And in terms of agents, you will wind up spending a lot of time connecting agents with attorneys. What is so important to an agent? Let's say if you're a new agent, why is it important to have a great real estate attorney kind of in your pocket or in your relationship circle?
As an agent, a brand new agent, you have to focus on how to build your business, right? You focus on prospecting your clients, you focus on your marketing, you focus on a lot of things that are more business development related for yourself, and then you learn with the process of the transaction as it goes. But I strongly believe that having someone that you can call at any time and ask questions, because your clients are going to ask you questions, and having partners within the industry ahead of even your first transaction is key. Actually, last week I was answering questions or helping an agent with her very first listing, and there were things that she was asked by the client in the listing presentation that she wasn't really sure how to answer. As we know, the more you work here within the industry, you see that each transaction is different, and there's never two of them the same. And you always learn something new. But a real estate attorney or a title company, we actually see a whole lot more of the transactions coming our way, obviously. The contracts come here, agent has X amount of transactions, but we get contracts and transactions from a variety of different people. So obviously there's different experience, there's different point of views. So an attorney, obviously their specialty is already the legality of the process, but at the same time they've dealt with different situations behind the scenes. So once you have a partner that you can just pick up a phone and say, hey, this is my first time doing this, what can I do, what should I do, or the client asked me that, how would you like me to approach, it's the confidence that you're building, and at the same time you will then do better for your client. So in return, your client will be very appreciative that you did the due diligence to ask these questions. And at the same time, you don't feel like this is your first deal, because from the first time, you were able to have a team who supported you from the beginning. And even though you didn't know, you felt like you did, and you felt confident because you had people who had your back.
That's great. Let's talk just a little bit about Landtrust Title Services. We have the cups.
Love the 80s.
So what do you think Landtrust, why did you choose Landtrust, and what do they bring to the table for you in terms of backing up your customer service standards?
Well, the general answer to the question would be the customer service aspect.
Yeah.
I love the team. I love the fact of how supportive our team can be. I know I can make a phone call at any given time and there will be someone who will help me out. So same way as I can help the clients, I know that I have the back end support doing the same for me. We have truly, genuinely genuine people within our team who are interested in success of each other. There's no, oh, she should do it, he should do it. It's just, we'll all help one another because we, at the end of the day, we have the same end goal to provide great customer service and be happy with the results at the end of the day. So for me, the tools that we have, I believe we do have cutting edge technology. We are also innovative. I believe that whenever I come with new ideas, I don't get turned down. I believe that we are able to test new things out or figure out ways on how to even improve. And I appreciate that it's not stagnant, but at the same time, I do feel the connection of a team. And at the end of the day, if you have the team who has your back and you have their back, then it's only great things can be done together.
Awesome. So Ania, right now we're in this period of time. It's the spring of 2024, coming to the end of the spring into the summer, and there's a lot of anxiousness, right, in the real estate community about the buy side commissions, the NAR, interest rates. How are you helping your agents to kind of just settle down and do the work that they're supposed to do? What would you say to them at this time?
It's obviously a time of a lot of uncertainty, but I believe confidence and knowing your value is what will stand out in the long run. And at the end of the day, let's say with the NAR settlement and the NAR lawsuit, what we know is that agents, buyers agents especially, have gone great lengths, especially in the past couple of years for their buyers, doing a lot of work. You meet agents who showed one buyer 30 properties and it was still not good enough, or they got bid out in multiple offer situations. Buyer agents trying to shovel their way into a showing for their clients or de-icing the box. There's a lot of work, little things that go behind the scenes that an agent has to do. It's not just picking up a phone call, setting up an appointment and writing a couple documents, signing them. There's a strategy to pricing, there's strategy to being there for the client in so many ways, especially emotional support. Nobody realizes how big of a transaction, how big of a strain it actually takes on someone in a lot of ways to purchase the property. Obviously, there are different clients, different situations, but a lot of times there's a lot to be handled, and a buyer's agent brings a whole lot of value. And it's just a matter of knowing your own worth and know how to portray it to the client. Now it's just a matter of building the confidence, and just like what we saw with the interest rates, when interest rates were very low, went up, and you could see the market froze for a little bit because of the uncertainty and people not wanting to pay that extra.
The People Not Titles podcast is brought to you by Landtrust Title Services, your partners for results.
Money in the interest, but as you see, this is here to stay, and it was just an adjustment period and things came back to normal. And I believe this is an adjustment period, and it's just a matter of understanding what your value is and becoming much better about portraying it. And agents will still bring a whole lot of value. They still do a lot of work. It's just a matter of knowing on how to approach it. And all it is just sitting down, figuring out what do you feel you bring to the table. And as long as you can portray it to others, things will adjust eventually and things will be fine.
Yeah, I love that. And so the agents that are not able to do that, they're going to go home probably, right? If you don't have value, or if you're not able to articulate it, or if you're not able to explain it or define it, people aren't likely to pay for it, right? But if you do have value and you are able to explain it and articulate it, they will pay for that. So I think that's a great way to kind of weed out some of those that are in the business but not really working it to the client's benefit.
And also to add to that, it's also a way to motivate some who took it lightly, now to actually build that buyer presentation, the approach to how to work with a buyer.
Yeah, and it makes listings all the more valuable right now, right? And
also not to forget, if you look into the license law, if there's a listing agent representing a property, their fiduciary role is already to help the seller. if the buyer would like to purchase the property and would like to go directly to the listing agent, by law, they cannot receive any guidance, especially on pricing and such, from the listing agent. So a buyer might think that, I'll just go directly to the listing agent, but then at the same time, they're being taken away that representation of actually having someone working in their interest. This is, I believe, for me, the biggest point of making sure that everyone understands that as a buyer, you should know that if you don't have someone who is truly looking out for your best interest, you don't know what you're going to get. If you're a first-time home buyer, you don't understand the process, and you're going to be guided by someone whose responsibility is to protect the seller. How do you think you're going to make out in the end? Is it really going to be beneficial for you not to pay that buyer's commission, or actually is it going to save you money in the long run?
I like that. Yeah, because number one, most real estate agents have been trained in negotiation. They understand the market conditions, so they know what's overpaid or not. They understand how to review a property's history to see what the troubles are and all that. And I know there's a list of like 5,000 things that a buyer's agent does. But if you just think about that in every single other realm, why would you want to negotiate against a professional when you're just a novice at it? Your real estate transaction is not the first time to practice negotiating a real estate deal. So I love that. Thank you. Ania, talk about some of the things you do in the professional marketplace in terms of networking, in terms of, maybe groups that you're associated with, things like that.
Every day is different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Either I try to get creative of what kind of event I could host, or I like to attend others. But there's plenty. You never know where you run into someone who can actually help your business. So, like, silly example is I've built a pickleball team.
Yes.
And I also met a lot of people within the industry through just playing a sport. So whether it is a networking event hosted by a local chamber of commerce, whether it is a Landtrust hosted real estate seminar,
or CLE.
Yes, or CLE for attorneys, or webinars for our agents, you name it. The opportunities are always endless, and like I said, you can begin picking up coffee at Starbucks, and you never know who's going to be in the line next to you. So at the end of the day, I believe
everywhere's a networking.
Yes, exactly.
I love it.
You just have to be open to opportunities and just have that approach that you never know, and be out there. Don't sit still in your home office and think that things are just going to happen.
That's great. And so I love it. So if you're sitting at home wondering what can I do this weekend, and you want to play pickleball, Ania's your girl. And she has a great group of real estate folks and others that are constantly playing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me now, Ania, are there any things, just kind of bringing this to a close, I want to talk more personally. Are there any daily things that you like to do to fire yourself up? Like, how do you start your morning? Is there a routine? Do you have specific disciplines or habits that you've put in place in order to help you be productive?
That's a great question. I would say I don't have specific items every morning. I'm not going to say, it's a perfect start to each day, just because my day is so different every day. Sometimes it starts very early. I've had reasons to be out to meet people at 7 in the morning. Sometimes it's not till 10 a.m. But I believe that every morning should always be figured out to be productive. And since I know that my mind usually when I open my eyes, this is where it's go time. So whether it is actually, sometimes we have our morning huddles where we discuss interesting topics that are building us up. So for personal development, which I attend twice weekly, and I always enjoy them. But there are days where I will actually devote to catching up on things, let's say from the weekend, to make sure that everything is under control, that I've followed up on any requests or anything that could set me for the week. But also for busy work type of stuff, I always believe good music in the morning sets me good. So as long as I have a good beat in the background, then the day gets better right away.
Okay. That's great. I love it. Do you do anything? Hey, we get stressed, and there's a time where you have to kind of recenter yourself. Do you have anything that you do to bring yourself back to calm?
I do. I have a few things, but my recent one, which I absolutely love, is a place in Naperville called Harmonic Egg.
Oh, yes.
And it's a sound healing place where you take an hour of your time. And
Harmonic Egg.
Yes. And, and music. You essentially sit in a recliner in an actual egg.
Okay.
And the sound travels directly at you, but it's designed to rebalance the cells in your body.
Wow.
And it just calms you down. And I do feel the effect of it, and it absolutely works. So if you do that on a regular basis every couple of weeks, at least for me, I find my inner peace to be right on point now.
Wow. Wow, that's fantastic, Ania. Ania, are there any big goals that you have? I know that you have a lot of goals for yourself, but is there anything that you want to share that you're like really fighting for over this next 2 or 3 years? What do you kind of see for yourself just for your future?
That's a great question. Mm-hmm. Well, there are a few things, but mainly for me, every day is a reason to get better. So where I'm going to be in 3 years, I hope that I am going to be a lot further than I am today. And obviously with health, happiness, and success. But what I really look forward is not setting those 2-3 year marks. It's almost where I'm going to be tomorrow. And so
more presence as opposed to looking too far down the road.
Correct. As long as I have further goals of where I would want to be in 10 years, right?
Of course.
Maybe travel places and see things, and there's a lot.
Yes, yes.
However, when it comes to improvement, I believe now more in the day-to-day approach and gratefulness for each day, and seeing how yesterday is my baseline and how can I get today to be better than it was yesterday.
I see. Okay. So I'll have one more question for you. You maybe think of. Everyone has struggles. They have things that really knock the wind out of them. When that happens, how do you recover? And don't say harmonic egg.
No.
How do you recover from that, Ania? So, so tell us. Just something happens where you're like, we lose a sale. There's a customer interaction that just doesn't go well. Whatever it is, we get bad news, or something just doesn't go right in our lives, right? How do you recover?
Well, that's a great question, and I could drop heavy things here. And actually, I've had a life-altering experience recently, and I've had a couple instances past year of things that unfortunately happened, but it was the mindset of how you look at things, right? I've found that sometimes the worst thing that can happen to you, it's the way you decide to look at the situation and take out the best out of it. So, to be fully honest, I did receive a cancer diagnosis last year, and at the moment it was very scary. It was the unknown, what's going to happen. But as you go through the process, you start realizing that you were given a gift of a fight that didn't go unnoticed, and you were given a fight to actually beat it. It will make you stronger. And then it made you at least for me, it made me realize, and that was just my mindset. Instead of focusing on what negative, or like what kind of a negative situation am I in, I realized that, all right, this is the time when I get to reevaluate what I want for my future. And at the end of the day, it's the mindset shift. It's about how you think about things, right? So I looked at it as a gift because I was going with emotions. Life was just, it was okay, it was happy, but now when I get the second look, I think about, all right, does this make me happy? How do I get better? And it's just the mindset. I could there's the opportunity, there was the option for me to go down into a very negative mood, but I chose to do the opposite because it actually made me stronger. And then I realized that I received the possibility to make things a whole lot better. And it's the mindset of all right, what's next? Let's bring it on, right? So,
Yeah, that's interesting. When you are a young person like you and you hear that word, the cancer word, you start to wonder, wow, you thought I'm going to live forever, right? And now all of a sudden, it's a question of, life and death, so to speak. And then all of a sudden you realize that every day is a gift, right?
absolutely.
And that, and so you have a different perspective where, I think sometimes you just take life for granted and you don't consider it. So I love the fact that you saw the silver lining in it, and that, of course, you're on the road to recovery, and that we're, praying for full restoration of health. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
Yeah. So anyway, well, Ania, I just want to thank you for being a part. I think it's great that people got to know a little bit more about you. I think for those who are attorneys who have met you but who are not yet doing business with you, they've got a different color. And I think that also agents who are in the marketplace that see you around and all this, I go, wow, there's more to this girl than just pickleball. So thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. People, not titles, signing off. Thank you very much. Hey, thanks for listening to the People, Not Titles podcast. We are proudly sponsored by Landtrust Title Services. If you enjoyed the podcast, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and we'd love it if you'd share our podcast with your friends. Thanks a lot.